Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to do a red, white, and blue bouquet. And I'm going to use my Rosa Gallery watercolors because I don't use them very often and I really like them. They're actually, no, that's not right. I use them all the time because I use them outside of my balcony. But they're not used on video very often because they're upstairs on my fun art desk and not down here on my work desk. So I'm going to start at the top of this vase, about halfway down my paper. And I'm just going to start with kind of a curved line because this is going to be full of flowers. And I am going to, it's got kind of a skinny vase. It almost reminds me of like the shape of like a old-fashioned milk jug. And I'm going to make it a little bit more squat. Actually, let me get one side done, then I'll flip it over because I have a easier time doing that. I flip it over this way. By the way, I've just taped my paper down to a piece of foam core. Oh, by the way, with Memorial Day weekend coming up, the official start of summer, I am having a sale in my Teachable School. You can get 40% off any class with the coupon code MEMORIAL22. I'll put that in the video description so you can click the link or copy and paste it or whatever you want to do. That way I can double check my spelling. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I have a lot of standalone classes. I think I have 14. So you can get 20 for 12, I don't know. So you can get 40% off them, and it's just, you know, you can buy it and then do the class whenever you want. Those standalone classes have lifetime access, and that discount is good on the like the one-time payment or the purchase payment plan if you rather do a payment plan. So yeah, I'm just kind of sketching this fairly symmetrical shape. I'm using a blue. Actually, I wouldn't have drawn it this dark, but I just want to make sure you can see it. And I just want to get kind of a basic shape in here. My daughters, they're seniors this year, so softball, they do the senior night, and then like the daughters give a flower to their parents. And so they're roses, baby's breath, and ferns. And so I put them in this vase here that I have. It's kind of tall and skinny, which is good for like, skinnier bouquets. And I thought, ooh, if I did that in red, white, and blue, that would be really pretty. And I'm also grabbing some salt because this baby's breath, right? So I'm hoping that I can like get some color going and I can sprinkle a little bits of salt so I can get that kind of baby's breath look. So I don't think I need to really put the flowers and the rest of it in. I just wanted to get that vase in there somewhat symmetrically and go from there. And I'm going to be using my prototypes here. They will eventually have a set of 6 brushes. It'll have this color handle and it will have the wording either in gold or white, I'm not sure. Because we're trying to debate, because they can do the lettering in gold or they can do it in white. And where the ferrules are rose gold, because I want rose gold ferrules and this kind of ruby red body, they're wondering if the plain gold might clash. And I'm like, I don't know, I think I like gold better than white, but we'll see. I will put a link in the video description they're not available to purchase yet, but you can be notified when they come in stock. And they should be in stock. Boy, that looks really purple now that I add the water to it. They will be in stock mid-July, I believe. I did a video on showing you making the packaging, or making the artwork for the packaging. That's on my channel. Oh, I actually have it. You want to see? Do you want to see that in case you missed it? There's a time lapse of this on my YouTube channel and a real-time version of that in Critique Club, but that's going to be on the packaging, so that's on the box. I'm so excited. I'm really pleased with how that came out. All right, so now I want to do some Ultramarine Blue. To me, that's kind of like that, the most like American-looking blue. And I'm just going to put some in, just kind of let it flow. The Rosa paints, they're made in Ukraine. I discovered this brand. Well, I'd heard about it, but it never, like, I tried to order some a couple of years ago, and then probably like 2 years ago, and it was on my Amazon, but then my order got canceled. I don't know what happened, but I guess they ran out or oversold or something because it got canceled anyways. And then I saw it come back on available like last summer, so I ordered a set of 12, and it was like 15 bucks. And I'll link to that in the video description because I'm going to use colors that are from that original set. And I liked it so much that I bought the 21 Modern Color set in a tin because there weren't too many duplicates in that set. And so then I put my colors from the 12 set in here, and any colors I had that were duplicates, I just put them in with my paint tubes so I could replace them when need be. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow ochre in the center. That's something I like to do in vases. I like to put a little yellow in there because I feel like it gives it kind of like a feeling of light. And there's also water in there, but I'm not going to bother with that until I get a little bit closer. Now I actually have the vase sitting on my table. It's kind of too big to pull under the camera because it's a pretty tall vase, and it's not the same colors. This is teal. I've had it forever. I think I got it at like Rennie's or something many, many years ago. I'm just going to drag, I like to do this, I like to just drag a little water off to the side, get a little color going. And then I'm going to take that blue and mix it with Van Dyke Brown. I think it's this one. I think this one is in the 12 set. I know there's a Van Dyke Brown and also an Umber, I believe, in that 12 set. It's a great set to try. Honestly though, now that I've tried it and I know that the paints are good, I probably would go for, they have a 24 set that's in the cardboard box, so if you already have a tin, you can save some money that way. Or they have sets in metal tins or plastic, depending on what you prefer. Now see, that looks a little green when that mix there looks a little green, so I think I'm going to do a little bit of red to that. And I'm going to use madder red because that's the red I'm going to use for some of my flowers. I'm just going to add just a little touch. Take out that green, more blue. And I'm hoping I'll get some nice granulation. I should with that from the Ultramarine Blue there. Now, to see I have a nice neutral looking gray. I'm going to do a little bit of that on the edge of the shadow. I like to have some color in there. I also want to get a little bit of that in here. Because I wet the area first, everything should blend just fine. And this is a cotton paper that I'm using. It's Honeymoon Cezanne. And I'm working, I believe it's about 6 inches by 9 inches. I don't want to get blossoms. I'm hoping that it hasn't dried too much. I feel like I might get something there. I'm going to go to a smaller brush so it won't hold quite so much water. I think I will go in a little bit more. Need a little more water on that brush. I just don't want to get a blossom. Now the reason we didn't get green when you put the yellow ochre in there is because yellow ochre is a very, it's a very warm, earthy yellow. It's not a greenish leaning yellow, and Ultramarine Blue is not a, it's not a green leaning blue. It's more of a red leaning blue. Okay, so we've got ferns, we've got baby's breath, and we've got roses. I'm not sure if I'll do roses or turn them into poppies or have them descript at all. What I really want to do here is an economy of brush strokes, and that's something that I've mentioned before. I think the 12 set comes with Russian green, so that's what I'm going to use. And I believe it also comes with Cad Yellow Pale. There are real cadmiums in that set, so I don't recommend it for children. I'm just going to start by making a fern, and I don't care if any of the colors like bleed into one another because I think that's going to be kind of pretty actually. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to put this stem, and I like to tape my work to a board because I feel like when I do that, I like being able to twist it and turn it however I need. Hope my camera stays in focus. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's a bummer. I'm just gonna like dab, dab, dab. Look how easy it is to make a fern. You just dab, 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 dab. They have these serrated edges to their leaves. So if you just go dab, 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 dab. And I like to turn my work so that I'm kind of always got the I'm always either pulling a stroke towards me, or I've got the tip of my brush near the edge of whatever it is I am trying to paint. That's a pretty fern, isn't it? I just wanted something. I feel like last week's watercolor got away from me and it turned into a mixed media. I just wanted to do something where it's like, I'm always telling my critique club students, use an economy, because I get asked all the time, Lindsay, how do I loosen up? And I say, well, you need to use an economy of brush strokes. So you want to convey your idea in the fewest brush strokes possible. And I say, pretend that somebody is charging you. You're doing this painting and someone is charging you per brush stroke, and try to make the painting as frugally as possible. So I think that tends to really get the point across. I'm gonna do another fern over here. I like those ferns. Let's give ourselves a little stem. It's so nice outside. I was just outside with the dog. I had my lunch and she really wanted to go out back. I was out on the balcony. I like to sit up on the balcony because it's when you're up so high, you don't get bugs. It's the weirdest thing. I never realized that until we had an addition put on and we hit the balcony, which is basically just a deck that's really high in the air, and we don't get bugs up there. Very rarely. It's really cool. And so that's why I sit out there and paint a lot during the summer, because I live in Maine, so our summers are really short. It's just so nice. It's so nice. I think I'm just gonna suggest a few stems in the water. Now, a tip when you want to put stems in, dry your brush off. So I got a rag here, just a cotton old t-shirt, basically. I cut up my old if I'm going through, like, I'm going to donate some stuff to Goodwill or whatever, I go through and stuff that I think is too, like, ratty to donate, if it's like cotton, or at least mostly cotton, then I will just, turn them into rags, basically. All right, let's do another, this one we'll do a little bit darker. Let's do one kind of up here. That's quite dark. That's a Russian green. It's a really pretty color. It's also called hooker's green sometimes, but generally if you get hooker's green from like an American paint company, or even a Western European company, that's not the color that they'll make the hooker's green out of. They're usually using a mix rather than the PG8, like White Knights and Galleria, Rosa Gallery uses the PG8. I think it must be more accessible over there, but also I heard that it's not as light fast. To be honest, I haven't had an issue with it. I've had Yarka paints for years that I've used that Russian green and haven't had an issue. Okay. Now I want some areas where I can do some baby's breath, so what I think I'm going to do is switch to a real juicy brush and we'll do some lighter green, and maybe just kind of like make some leaves like that. Even put a little phthalo blue. I think there's phthalo blue in that set. A little phthalo blue in there too. Basically, because I want to make sure I have enough contrast for the salt to show. So I'm being sneaky because I want to see if I can get the I can get some baby's breath to show that way. If not, I've got whitewash. It's not the end of the world. And I only use the salt for like painting purposes, so like I put it in my hands, I sprinkle it, and I put it back. I put the remainder back in there because I don't cook with it, so don't worry. You see that, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so gross, Lindsay. And also, my bouquet has 2 red roses, but I like things in 3s, so I think I'll do a rose using that madder red. It's kind of pretty. It's like a, because this set has a split primary palette. It's got warm and cool red, warm and cool yellow, warm and cool blue. I'm just going to, let's kind of like Make myself a nondescript flower back here. Mainly so I can just get a place I can put salt. It's just going to be a blob back there because, again, I want a little clump of baby's breath and I'm hoping that will work. Okay. And again, put that back into our salt container. Okay, I'm running out of space. I think I would like to put maybe some rose buds. I think I'm going to go with this back to that round brush though, because the black hair bristles are very absorbent. They hold tons of water and paint, and I don't really want that in this case. So let's see. I think I can fit a little rosebud there. I'm gonna try to fit. Oops, that's way too juicy. I'm getting that off the. I bought some of that water off. I'm gonna try to fit. And I love doing little, this little loose little bouquets. And I have a class that's called Watercolor Flower Workshop, and that's what we do. We do these like loose little bouquets. And I show you how to make a bunch of different types of flowers, and then I show you how to arrange them into different arrangements so that like you know what to do with them afterwards. I think maybe a couple little rosebuds over here too. Oh yeah, let's do another little one right there. And let's see, should we put another one up there? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 actually. 5's pretty good. Do some. I want to have some bleeding. I want to have some bleeding and soft edges, and I want to have some more harsh edges. I don't know if I'm going to get a good salt effect there, to be honest. I feel like I want to try. Well, we got white gouache. You know, I'm not going to fret. Maybe yellow and go in front of that red a little bit. I don't know if it's wet enough still. But we'll give it a try. Now the key when you're using salt is to wait. You got to be patient. So when I'm done fooling around here, I will let it dry, and then we'll come back and put our final details in, because I don't want to have problems. I'm actually going to use a little phthalo blue to make that beautiful bright springy green that you see often on like rosebuds, like on the little rose hips. I don't mind a little bit of contamination. All right, I think at this point I'm gonna let this dry, and then we'll come back, we'll brush off the salt, and we'll see what else it needs. All right, I'm back. I let this dry, and so what I'm gonna do is just take an old gift card and just scrape the salt off. I find that works the best. Oh, that wasn't already dry. Oh, let's blot that. No worries, we'll fix it. I'm just gonna just gonna grab that off there. All right, so I didn't get quite the effect that I wanted from the salt. It didn't go really white, but that's all right. We can dab in some gouache for the baby's breath. I am going to quickly, though, take a brush and try to lighten up that little bit that I smeared. I thought that was all dry. Now I know what thought did, as my mother would say. All right, I also think that I would like a little bit of color in the background, and I like to do that when I have when I bothered to tape my paper down, basically, because it's like, I don't want that beautiful border to go to waste. And don't you love it when you take off the tape and you see the beauty of the background? Okay, I'm going to use a yellow ochre, and I'm actually tipping it, and I'm tipping it and dripping it. You probably remember that technique from last week, but I just love it. And if I'm very careful with a soft brush, I can go into the areas that I painted. But when you've put your paint on thickly, like I have there, you got to be careful because you are going to get some ghosting. So I want to kind of coax it. Yellow ochre. I love yellow ochre. I think it's such a magical color. It does such wonderful things to like the other colors that it comes in contact with. Now I'm actually going to flick some on. I know this is not for everyone. Don't do it if you don't like it, okay? Never do something to your painting that you don't agree with. If you say, I don't like spatters, I think they're overdone, I think it's cheap and lazy, don't do it. You know, there's no reason for you to do something you don't like to your painting. I like it, so I do it. But I would never want you to do something that you're not comfortable with and that you don't like. I think I'd like to also spatter in some of that pretty green that we made with phthalo blue and cad yellow light. Just like cadmium yellow. I know a lot of people don't like to use cadmium colors, and that's totally fine. You don't have to do that. I am someone who loves a background. I just picked up some of that gray we mixed earlier. I feel like a background just gives kind of a little bit of an ambiance and life. Make a little bit purple. Whoops. I want to use Ultramarine, a little bit of that madder red. The reason why, one of the other reasons I wanted to use this palette is because, or this color palette rather, it could be any brand you like, because when I used to teach, and when I was trained in watercolor, I was in the 80s, and I was trained by a very talented traditional watercolor artist. We didn't use white. We were very, you know, it was very old-fashioned, and I love that. And the palette, and I love the color palette that we used to use as well. And it was alizarin crimson, and it was cadmium red, and it was yellow ochre, lemon yellow, which was like nickel titanate lemon yellow, which you don't see very often anymore. I don't know why. I think it's because it's kind of a weak color. I, to be honest, prefer Hansa Yellow Light, but you know, that was the color. That was what you would find. I'm adding a waterline in here. And so I'm like, ooh, that's such a perfect, like, Americana palette. And Ultramarine Blue, obviously. We used our Ultramarine Blue. We love that. That's probably the color I use the most, is Ultramarine. Like, that's the one I have to refill. It doesn't matter what palette I'm using. That's the one that's going to need the refilling first. I'm going to do some, I will do some highlighting on that with white. But I thought that'd be kind of pretty, and also just kind of like a nod back to my roots. This phthalo's pretty. I think I want some of that in there. We use Prussian blue, not phthalo blue, so I probably should use Prussian blue. But I also wanted to use this Rosa palette because those are paints that, it's like, I use them all the time. I love them, but I use them on my fun art desk, so it's like, oh, I'm using this paint, and I think it's such a great value. It's a good deal any day of the week. It's not like, because like, there's been some pretty crazy paint sales lately, and I've been posting about them as I see them because they don't last long, but these are a good deal every day of the week, which is nice. So let's see, is that dry yet? I think I want to put some little, like, sneak some little leaves in here. But I'll do them with this while it's still damp, so it can kind of be a little blurry. I love this teal color. I'm not sure if it's going to work too well, but I've already got it in a few places, so I think it's nice to kind of cross-pollinate your colors a bit. Maybe I could do a little sprig. It's already drying up though, so I have to be careful. It's probably a little too big to be getting in there with it, but I do get a little carried away when it comes to leaves and things like that. They're so fun. Bring that right up to that flower too. I like to fill it. I like a nice full bouquet. Okay, bouquet. Okay, bouquet. All right, I'm going to dry this and then we'll come back with finishing touches. When you're sure your paper's dry, just gently run your fingertips across the surface and see if you feel any salt. And if you do, you just want to scrape that off before we finish out, go in with these finishing touches. I've got some Dr. P.H. Martin Bleed Proof White here. And this is really nice for when you want really opaque highlights. And I'm going to use just this number 8 round from my set that's coming out next month. And of course, if you have paintbrushes you're already happy with, use those paintbrushes. There are a lot of great paintbrushes out there. I just put this set together because it's kind of my dream set. It's the brushes that I would use the most, and I just kind of wanted to pick the ones that I would find to be the most useful with a limited supply. So, you know, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to buy Lindsay's brushes or her kids won't eat or anything like that. I don't know. You know, I always feel like weird about that. Do you? I don't know. If you want them, buy them. You know the drill. You're an adult, right? And do our little baby's breath over here. So, basically where I put the salt, where I intended to have them to begin with, but oh, you know what I could have done? That might be cool. Actually, I should have flicked them, because I think flicking them I would have gotten a more natural pattern. Let me see if I have enough. I always put paint in the lid. Let me see if I can. It's all could go wrong, friends. That's fine. Oh, I like it. I think that's fine. Okay, while I'm at it with this white, just want to make sure it's not too wet. So what I'm going to do is just kind of like wiping it along the dried paint on the side of the jar. Because this is a gouache, it will reactivate. And that will just help me make sure I don't have too much white on there. Or too much water. That's what I'm concerned with, too much water. That's not what I want. And this is a large brush, but it's got a really sharp point, so I should be able to get the details that I want. Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot we had like this little pattern on the front of the jar. I'm just gonna hint at it basically. There's a nice expressive stroke. Remember, economy of brush strokes. A little bit of a cast reflection over there. We want to have a reflection on the bottom. And then actually a little bit of light in the highlight itself. And I might put a little bit of color over that after it dries. And a little bit of sliver on the waterline as well. And sometimes I also like to pull down a little color from the waterline. I usually do that with a flat, but I got this one out and it's got so much paint left on it. And I'll probably add a little color to that because that's going to be a little harsh. It's also a little crooked. I'm trying not to stick my head in the way, but oh, you know, I can tip this up. I like to look at it straight on when I'm doing that. Okay, something else I like to do is have some darker shadows. I'm going to take the Ultramarine, a bit of the phthalo in there too, mostly Ultramarine. Doesn't take much to get paint out of these too. I don't pre-activate these because they're quite moist. They are I don't know if they're honey based or not, but they feel kind of like some of the honey based paints. Now if you're doing it like this, I probably shouldn't have put that big highlight there already. Just try to avoid the white area because it's going to make like a milky effect, and that's not really what you want. You want hard edges on the glass, so just kind of like try to go next to everything, next to the white. Oops. I want just a little bit of white, a little bit of color in that white there, though. There. Okay. Oh, I can also take a sliver of that dark. Actually, I don't have too much water on my brush, actually. And just, hopefully that's staying in focus. I just want to get, use your brush at a 90-degree angle with your paper so you get a nice sharp edge, and just kind of trace the bottom of it like that. That looks fine. Okay, I want some sharper. Oh, you know what? I also want to have some little. You know, some little thingies. I want to have some stems. Stems, greenish brown stems on my baby's breath. So when you're working with a liner brush, you got to have your paint kind of inky. You don't want it too drippy, but it's got to be thin enough to flow off your brush. And also check your brush for any little beads of water, because if you have a bead of water, it will slide down the ferrule and it will plop onto your painting and make you very sad. So let's see. I'm going to start bringing little, I don't have to have a stem on every little puff. You just need to put a few, and you know, the viewer's mind will fill in the blanks. And see how I'm pulling the strokes towards me? Make sure your paper is so that like you can pull those strokes towards your dominant hand, and it will be a lot easier to deal with. Okay, I feel like I want some more crisp leaves, so I'm actually going to go with my dagger brush. And this is a Taklon dagger, so it's got a lot of spring to it. I'm going to grab some yellow. Grab some phthalo blue rather. Grab some of that hooker's green, or Russian, I think it's called hooker's green. Oh, whoops, no, that's the wrong color. That was phthalo green. I'm going to clean off the top of that pan though. I'll clean off the top of this pan while I'm at it too. I haven't had any issues with making mud at all, which is nice. Let's mix all these together. Get a nice, rich, dark, vibrant color. Again, watch for beads of water on your ferrule. You don't want that. All right, I'm looking at my bouquet that I actually have in front of me. Not that I've been doing too much, you know, that I've been really following it, just kind of as a loose kind of example, but let's see, let's do a nice crisp leaf. In my watercolor floral course, I use, I'll show you how to use a dagger brush, and I'll show you how to use a wedge brush, which is a brush that you don't see too often, but it's really fun. It's kind of like learning how to drive a standard though. If you ever learn how to drive a standard, like a driver's ed, or, you know, maybe you haven't driven a standard in like, you know, 20 years and you get behind the wheel of one and it's like, oh my. That's kind of what it's like, but it is it gives you such a unique look. Let's see, where can I throw a few more of those? Oh, maybe up here. That was a very awkward one. There we go. Very fixable though. Maybe give a little. Oh, look at that. When I went over that baby's breath, it resisted, almost resisted. That's cool. Actually, oh yeah, it's doing it there too. Oh, that's neat. I might have to go in and plop those back on top again, but yeah, just smattering a few little leaves around. I hope we're staying in focus. I like to do this with a dark paint at the end because it just gives you kind of like a little bit of a finished look. Oh, you know what? We could put a couple little leaves on the table as well, because you know, right? You know, you got the bouquet and it's sitting on your kitchen table or your mantle, and then you get the shedding happens. Maybe it's just me. You can even do a little rose petal down there or something too if you want. I don't know, I think I kind of just like my little leaves. I don't know, what do you think? Should I have a rose petal? Or should I leave it like this? I kind of like this minimalist. But then again, a little rose petal. Oh, what do I do, guys? What to do, what to do? When in doubt, leave it out? I had a boss once, and we were cleaning the basement of this building where at the nonprofit I worked for, and he used to say, when in doubt, throw it out. That was his, like, if we'd ask, like, should we keep this thing? What should we do with this? And he'd be like, when in doubt, throw it out. And so that was like, he didn't want to hear about it. He's like, you are all capable of making this decision. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more little dabs of white. Of course, if you don't want to, and you can use masking fluid. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm going to do this painting tomorrow when I have a day off or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't want to use white. Lindsay's the Antichrist using white over there. You can use masking fluid at the beginning. Just, where I was putting the salt. Sketch your vase. Dab your masking fluid on, do your masking fluid on the vase too, and then you won't have to use white. So if that's making you lose sleep at night, do that. You don't have to follow any of these to a T. I'm teaching you how to paint, which is a lot of how to deal with different situations. And since I've already used white, well, I'm just going to go in with that red matter with leftover gouache in my brush and add a little bit of zhuzh there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's take the tape off and see how this bad boy looks. Don't forget, use the coupon code MEMORIAL22 to save 40% on any of my standalone classes at lindsayweirich.teachable.com. There will be a link in the video description, and that sale is good through Memorial Day 2022. If you're watching this in the future, I'm sorry you've missed the boat. Like an Amazon sale on Sennelier paint, right? Man, they've been some good sales lately. There we go. Hey, I think that's pretty. It doesn't necessarily scream Americana to me now like it did in my mind's eye, but I think we were able to use an economy of brush strokes. We were able to play with our supplies, play with our brushes, paint some ferns, do some really simple leaves and flowers, and I think it's a really cute painting. I think it turned out nice. This would be really cute on a greeting card as well. So if you enjoyed this painting, I would appreciate a thumbs up before you go. That helps tell YouTube that this content is valuable and other people might like it too. And if you feel so inclined, you could tell a friend. You could share this video or my channel on social media. Tell your other crafty and painty friends where it's at. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.